7 o'clock. I'd like to call the meeting to order and join in the family pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Misty, if you would please call the roll.
Marlene King. Here. Ray Eckerty.
Here.
Bill Lukens.
Here.
Martin Meyer.
Here.
Bob Nelson.
Here.
Sam Powers.
Here.
Ron Richards.
Here.
Allison Ritterbusch. Here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We do have quorum. I'd ask for a motion to approve the agenda, and again, a reminder, if there is any item on the agenda that you as council will be voting on tonight and have a conflict of interest, it is incumbent upon you to notify the rest of the council.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You have in your packages the minutes from the December 17th meeting. I'd ask for a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the December 17th council meeting.
Second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the December 17th council meeting minutes. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. You have in your packages, under claims, bills in between for $99,599.59. I'd ask for a motion to approve those bills in between.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills in between for $99,599.59.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve those bills in between. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The bills in between are approved. You have current claims for 2019 of $57,898.92, and accounts payable for 2018 of $223,470.34. I'd accept a motion to approve those current claims and accounts payable.
I'll make a
motion to approve the current claims 2019, $57,898.92. Accounts payable 2018, $223,470.34.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded to approve those current claims and accounts payable. Are there any comments, questions, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those claims and accounts payable are approved. You have in your packages Wells Fargo credit card charges. There is a change to that total amount. The new total is $5,098.08. There was a $47.98 Evans Plunge credit card charge that was added to that. I'd accept a motion to approve the credit card charges as adjusted.
I'll make a motion to accept the Wells Fargo credit card total.
It's $5,098.08.
$5,098.08.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve those Wells credit card charges. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those charges are approved. We do have a public hearing set for 7:10. We also have Olivia Mears here to give us a chamber update. Olivia, can you, I may have to interrupt you. Don't cut your report short. Just give us the whole shebang.
Okay, I think I can get her done, so. Hello? Okay. Mayor Cotty, esteemed council members, city officials, and members of the audience, thank you for inviting me to give a presentation from the Hot Springs Chamber of Commerce. I do apologize that due to illness, I have had to cancel previous arrangements to come in my report, but I'm doing okay now. We did have a successful 2018, and I must say I'm thrilled to report that during Christmas season, thanks to local businesses and individuals, we sold over $26,000 in chamber bucks. So that's an amazing amount. I must just mention the chamber doesn't make money off that. We actually pay for the bucks and pay for the banking and to make the checks, but we willingly and happily do so because that's all money that stays in our town. Chamber bucks are only spendable in Hot Springs, so hats off to the businesses and individuals who gave bonuses and gifts in chamber bucks. So over 26,000, we're very happy with that. Thank you, Hot Springs. As we start off in 2019, I'm very fortunate this week to be going to attend on the weekend a Balloon Federation of America symposium on hot air balloon events. It's been specifically designed for the smaller festivals like ours to assist us in helping grow a festival like this. So I'm thrilled I get to attend, and I'm going to come back chock full of information to grow our event. As you know, it is the Hot Springs Chamber signature event, and it's one that our entire community supports. I'll learn a lot at this symposium to help us grow the event each year. Our intention, obviously, to bring more visitors to Hot Springs and open more opportunities for local businesses to participate in. I'm also going to be fortunate enough to attend the Governor's Conference on Tourism in Fear this month. Wonderful tourism conference they do each year, and this is an excellent opportunity to meet with other industry professionals and all the people of South Dakota State tourism and legislation. We're fortunate to be doing a Matching Funds Summit marketing campaign again this year with funds from our bid board. This will give us $80,000 worth of advertising and marketing for Hot Springs. And following the tourism conference, the Chamber will finalize our 2019 campaign. In February, we plan to host a concert to benefit the musicians that graciously played for free during our balloon event. It's the Cure the Winter Blues concert, and it'll take place on February 22nd. Any money taken at the door will be split evenly with the musicians. It's a small thank you for them. So do come and support that and support local musicians if you can. March also brings our chamber dinner, where we unveil our 2019 Reconnect campaign. This is a new concept that's fresh, inclusive, and it gives a clear message that Hot Springs is the place to choose as your vacation destination. Our chamber dinner is our 79th annual dinner and meeting, and therefore will be the last time to participate in our Taste of Hot Springs theme. Since next year is our 80th, we're going to go all out and have more of a gala for next year with Jim Hagan already confirmed as our speaker. So this year it's Taste of Hot Springs, and we hope that you folks will all attend. We will make sure to be sending invitations. The chamber dinner is also where we do our awards ceremony, and although only chamber members may vote, anyone may nominate in the following categories. So if you have somebody in mind for Retail Business of the Year, Hospitality Business of the Year, Service Business of the Year, do please put that business forward. We also welcome nominations for Citizen of the Year and the Joyce Farrell Youth Volunteer of the Year Award. So if you know any youngsters deserving, do please call the chamber, get a set of criteria, or give us their name and we'll do the rest. March and April are also the months where we update and distribute most of our publications for the upcoming visitor season, such as the City Map, the Hot Springs Welcome magazine, which this year is being done by the Fall River Herald, and the Summer Directory. We're hosting our annual job fair in March and customer service and familiarization training in April. We'll be redesigning and streamlining the Summer Directory to make it easier for frontline personnel to use. This piece was specifically created for frontline staff to use to assist guests It's available to all businesses regardless of membership, free of charge. We also plan to hold a retail roundtable sometime in the first quarter to reach out to our local retailers to discuss how to serve them better. And we are busy talking with Mayor Cotti of if this is a good time to use to start preparing people for the roadworks.
And Olivia, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to interrupt you.
All right, I'm at a good stopping point.
The time is 7:10, and I'd like to call and open a public hearing. And what we're considering tonight is the application to transfer the existing retail on-sale liquor and retail on-off-sale malt beverage and South Dakota farm wine licenses from Wind Shadow Enterprises, LLC, doing business as the Hot Springs Vault, to Lawn Care Services, also doing business as the Vault. And that location is 329 North River Street. I would ask if there's anyone from the audience that would like to speak as to whether this application should be or should not be transferred.
Mayor Cotti?
Yes.
I'm Pat Ginsburg, I'm a lawyer here in Hot Springs, and I represent Greg Gunwald, who is present here with me. He owns G2 Lawn Care Services, and will be taking over the vault. And so I'd like to introduce Greg to you. His mother was Cheryl Gunwald, who was your finance officer for a number of years, and he decided to come back to Hot Springs, and he was operating the business here. So if you have any questions of Greg?
Thank you, Pat. Greg, do you have anything that you would like to address the council and the public?
Well, you know, I'm a nurse by trade, and I want to be home. This is my home. Hot Springs is my home. And I want to do everything I can do to promote downtown Hot Springs, working with other businesses as well. And so I'm just happy to be home. So.
Okay, great. I believe Olivia has a comment that you would like to make.
I would like to support the application. The Vault are members, have been, and they are very important to our tourism on Main Street. We'd like to support the application.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments from the public concerning this transfer? Any comments or questions from the council? Well, hearing none, I will close the hearing. The time is 7:12, and I would ask for a motion to approve this license transfer.
I'd like to make a motion to transfer the existing retail on-sale liquor and retail on-off-sale Vault Beverage and SD Farm wine licenses from Wind Shadow Enterprises, LLC, DBA Hot Springs Vault, to G2 Lawn Care Services, LLC, doing business as the Vault, to be used at 329 North River Street.
Second. It's been moved and seconded that we do transfer this, approve transferring this liquor license. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Greg, we appreciate you coming home, and we wish you all the success in the world.
Thank you, City Council.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Olivia, I'm sorry we cut you off, but I know you can pick up.
I can indeed, sir. Just to finish off what we were saying about the retail roundtable, we want to encourage local residents, obviously, to shop local, but we also want to come up with ways to attract our neighbors to shop in Hot Springs on a regular basis. We feel we have a lot to offer, and we want to work with our retailers to be innovative and creative and come up with ways to attract year-round business, not just during tourism season. On the ag front, we had a very successful ag appreciation dinner in November, and although the bad weather did prevent a few folks from attending, RSVPs were up, and Winner Circle did a fantastic job of catering the meal. Circle B Cowboys provided the entertainment, were well received by the community and gave a great show. So we'll more than likely keep this new format for the ag dinner with dinner and entertainment, and we also offer an ag scholarship each year during around March or April. This year we are looking to increase the scholarship amount, if possible, from $400 to $500. We continue to strive for ways to promote youth ag and 4-H and FFA, and as always, if anyone has ideas how we can better serve the ag community, our door is open. Do please come and speak to us. Retail and Business Promotions Committee continues to head up the Spring Fling Home and Garden Show, which takes place in April. And again, we're looking to improve our home and garden show and want to make sure we have enough vendor variety this year. So we also have the Wine Walk and Cut event coming up in May, and this effectively would kick off our summer season when our Depot Information Centre opens on May 1st. So I've just given you a brief snapshot of what's coming up in the first quarter. We've got a lot more on the go for the rest of the year, which I'll keep you appraised of as we go. We do want to assure you that we're always working on new ways to attract visitors to our beautiful community and for ways to better serve our membership. So thank you very much for your time and attention. And as always, please feel free to stop in at the chamber anytime with questions or suggestions. I'll always offer you a cup of coffee or water. It's all about hospitality. Thank you.
Thank you, Olivia. We appreciate just a couple of comments. The $26,000 in chamber bucks.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Don't know if I'm at liberty to say who did the main buy. I did put a word out to them to say, can I mention? But since they haven't got back to me, I don't want to say who it was in case they'd prefer to keep quiet. But
sure,
there was one particular entity that purchased 20-odd thousand. So, yay them.
Wow, and that's really great. And we do look forward to the getting together with your business roundtable.
Yeah.
I think that's a very, very important thing. Now is the time that we need to begin planning and figuring out a way to ensure that the surrounding world knows that Hot Springs is still going to be open during our major road construction project. And the only way that we can do that successfully is by everybody working together. So thank you very much for organizing that. And we hope that we can get that message out there very, very clearly and succinctly.
Yes, and we will get with you. Timing is a thing. If it's in the day, possibly folks can't come. It might have to be an evening or weekend something, but we can talk with you to figure when's the best time to hold it and what the actual agenda will be and who the guest speakers. We just want the community to know we're not going to wait till the last minute and then go, you know, the city has already been planning. We want to show them that we're also paying attention. So thank you. If we could work together on that, that would be fabulous.
Okay, great, thank you. Did anyone on the council have any questions or comments for Olivia at the chamber? Okay, again, thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
The next item on our agenda is communications from the public. Are there any communications from the public? Seeing none, we'll move on to personnel. I would accept a motion to approve personnel actions A through N.
I'll make a motion to approve personnel actions A through N.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve personnel actions A through N. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those personnel actions are approved. We have the next item is committee reports, administrative and finance. Bob?
The Administrative and Finance Committee met today at City Hall at 1 o'clock. Mayor Connie, Dale, Kim, Misty, myself, and Greg Faust, the Executive Director of the Hot Springs Housing and Redevelopment Commission, were present. A couple old business items I'll update you on. As you've seen in your packets, Misty has filed a quick claim deed with the Florida County to transfer Building 1, the State Veterans Home, to the Southern Hills Future Foundation. The Future Foundation has agreed to pay the $60 recording fees for those documents. We've talked in admin finance, we've talked in public works, and I believe it's been kicked around in the parks about the University of Chicago corner lot for sale by the South Dakota Department of Transportation. They've approached the city about We'd like to purchase that. That will also be discussed tomorrow at the Parks and Recreation meeting. A couple of new business items. Misty reviewed her financial report that's in our packets. Greg Faust talked with the committee about a possible merger of the Hot Springs Housing and Redevelopment Commission with the Fall River County Housing and Redevelopment Commission. Greg talked with the committee about adopting quote, a resolution to dissolve the Hot Springs Housing and Redevelopment Commission for the purpose of electing to participate in a county Housing and Redevelopment Commission, which is pursuant to South Dakota Codified Law 11-7-7.2. Currently, there are 2 Housing and Redevelopment Commissions that meet monthly. The Hot Springs Committee and the Fall River County Committee. The Hot Springs Commission has 4 members, and the Fall River County Commission has 5 members. 3 of the Hot Springs members also serve on the Fall River County Commission. Combining the 2 commissions would be a better utilization of the members' time and doesn't have any significant impact on the city of Hot Springs. The city doesn't have a council representative that's a member of the Hot Springs Commission. The Hot Springs and Housing Redevelopment Commission Board has already passed their own resolution to ask the city to dissolve the commission. Admin Finance is recommending the council pass a resolution that will dissolve the Hot Springs Housing and Redevelopment Commission. This will be an agenda item for council discussion at a future council meeting. We also talked about potential new sources of revenue for the city of Hot Springs. Kim and Misty will begin identifying current fees charged by the city for the committee's review. Misty also let us know about a second group that conducts wage compensation studies that could help the city determine if current employee salaries are appropriate for the work performed. Admin Finance agrees a formal wage study can be beneficial to the city and will continue the wage study discussion and make a recommendation to the council in April or May. Admin Finance is also recommending the council approve the library jumpstart grant in your council packet. We're recommending that you approve the Conservation Reserve Program Cooperative Forestry Grant in your council packet. And we also discussed the interest rate that should be charged for the 26th Street Water Distribution Improvement Special Assessment. And we're recommending an interest rate of 5.25% for that project. This will be an agenda item for an upcoming council meeting. The next Admin Finance meeting will be February 4th, 1 p.m. at City Hall.
Thank you, Bob. And I think just wanted to point out too that interest rate was at the low end of what our local banks are charging as of right.
Yes.
Thanks. Airport Advisory Committee, Bill.
The Airport Advisory Committee met on Thursday, December 27th at 8 a.m. at Hot Springs Airport. Present were the airport manager, Kim Barbaric. Kim, I have a hard time with your last name, but anyway, Kim was there, Scott Slody, 4 members of the advisory committee and myself. The committee was provided with updates of recent city council action, including the approval of the old hangar electrical upgrade and the land lease increase from 10 cents per 12 cents per square foot per year for new hangar leases and old hangar lease renewals. Another draft of an airport zoning ordinance was offered to the committee for review. Comments are requested from the committee prior to the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting on January 16th, and some of the members did indicate that they will be present at the Planning and Zoning Committee to discuss that new proposal. The airport manager had also discussed an incident we had at the airport regarding notification that he received from the Flight Services Office in Fort Worth, Texas, who received an emergency locating transmitter notification of a potential crash from an Air Force base in Florida. That we may have had a crash at the Hot Springs Airport. And Ed was able, here's where local knowledge really pays off. Ed was able to get the tail number that's tied to the ELT number, chased it down, found out whose plane it was. Ed thinks it was a hard landing. The individual that owns the plane thought he may have shut the door hard when he got out of the plane. The bottom line, what it showed is that we need to probably improve our emergency reporting protocols so that if something truly does happen at our airport, we need more notification than just Ed's cell phone. So we're going to be moving that as a discussion item at public safety, and I think we're also going to invite Frank Maynard, the Fall River County Emergency Manager, to that meeting also, because, you know, yes, the city did annex the airport property, but if there was a crash and it did fall short of the airport, it would be a county issue. So it does really require countywide coordination. And since we use a common dispatch center, it is a regional issue. Ed also discussed the upcoming work that's going to be done at the airport as part of the approved 2019 budget cycle, which includes the installation of security cameras and some window replacements. And the committee also started planning process on the June 1 fly-in fun day. Last year they identified some issues that made things a little bit cumbersome. This year, I think, as fun as it was last year, they've identified some steps that it's going to be. I think the flow of traffic and the staging areas are going to be a lot better. The one issue I have with them that they didn't want to seem to listen to me at all is the flower drop, I think, is going to be limited to 12-year-olds, so 65-year-olds seem to be eliminated, but I've dropped the issue. Next meeting will be Thursday, January 31st, 8 a.m. at the airport.
Okay, thank you, Bill, and appreciate you being there. That was, in my mind, a pretty serious situation when one of those emergency beacons does go off. And I've talked with Ed about it, and it's something I think we need to ensure that the pilots that use our airport are familiar with the FAA procedures. It's incumbent upon the pilot that has something like that, the pilot did realize it went off, then turned it off, to notify either flight service, the airport manager, to ensure that rescue operations aren't started, search and rescue operations aren't started as a result of that. So, again, I appreciate your realizing that we do have an issue there of how we're going to respond, and we need to get that solved rather quickly. So thanks. Custer and Fall River Waste Management District.
Next meeting is the 10th of January, 7 p.m. here at the New York City Center.
Thank you. Downtown Historic Preservation Commission, Harlene.
There was no meeting on the 2nd, but the next meeting will be February 6th at 5 o'clock in the library.
Okay, thank you, Harlene. Evans Plunge Advisory Committee, Allison.
Next meeting will be January 10th at noon at the Evans Plunge.
Okay, thank you. Parks, Recreation, Beautification, and Cultural Development, Marty.
Parks and Rec meets tomorrow here at Mueller Civic Center at 3 p.m.
Okay, thank you. Planning and Zoning Commission, Allison.
Planning and Zoning met on Wednesday, December 19th. There was a discussion regarding the airport that Bill had mentioned, working in conjunction with the airport's zoning committee, and a hearing was going to be set for the airport zoning. That was also going to go to the airport committee, which it sounds like it did. There was discussion about PUDs and the benefits of it, that the committee felt that there was no flexibility with some of the covenances now. They're going to continue discussion with that. There was a request to vacate an alley, and through the committee's exploration, it appeared that it affected water and sewer and fire as well, so they just determined that they would tell the owners that that was not going to proceed. Discussion surrounding the Dakota Land Trust partnership, there was just some information given to the committee regarding moving forward with housing on Washington and North 23rd. That the land ownership would be retained by the investors. There was some pamphlets, but not a whole lot of information. Nobody was there to discuss it, just sharing information. And the next meeting will be January 16th at 7 p.m. at City Hall.
Okay, thank you, Allison. Public safety, Bill?
The committee met on Wednesday, December 19th at 2 p.m. at City Hall. Present were the mayor, myself, Chief Close, Kim, Misty, the city safety coordinator, Lori Sherrard, our animal control officer, John, and a member of the public. We're continuing to work the open items on our follow-up log and making some progress on those, and most of those have to do with some of our learnings from the Vineyard fire. Under new business, a member of the public was present to share concerns of what was believed to be an observed drug deal near their residence. This occurred in an area of town with a long history of illicit behavior. The information shared allowed Chief Close to generate an action plan that can hopefully lead to an appropriate resolution of the stated concern. We want to thank that individual for being willing to come forward and share. When actionable details are shared, the potential for law enforcement and the judicial system to act accordingly certainly improves. On other issues, the animal control officer, John Wishart, was present with an option for the committee's consideration to help manage the cost of boarding cats that he traps as a result of complaints he receives. The city currently budgets $300 per month for fees associated with animals picked up by the ACO, and monthly costs have been significantly higher. In 2018, over 80 cats have been trapped, and owners have claimed only 2 of those cats. So 80 of these are really just feral cats, and John goes out and picks them up, and they're just based on complaints. And this typically leaves the city with the cost of 3 nights of boarding, and then the associated fees with euthanization and disposal. And so the Admin and Finance Committee and the parties' insurance carriers are currently evaluating the proposal, and we think we can significantly reduce the cost of care and while humanely addressing the situation. Another item, the safety coordinator, Lori, who serves again as a safety coordinator, updated the committee on the 2019 safety training calendar. Chief Close also provided updates on departmental issues. We just took action on the last open position that we had, so right now we have a fully staffed police force. And just a final update on the toy drive. Over 700 toys were donated as part of that toy drive, and so many toys were actually donated that they actually had to pass on excess toys to Toys for Tots. So really appreciate the public being so generous on that. We also discussed the need for additional crosswalk signs. These signs, they're the pedestal type signs that really draw attention to the existence of the crosswalk. These signs are $300 each, so we're going to need to review how we might acquire the funds to be able to purchase additional signs. A question was also raised regarding the need for a standardized parade route for all parades in Hot Springs. The thought is that this would help event planners, it would help the viewing public, as well as the street and police departments if there was a standard route. So we'll continue to pursue this discussion with the other appropriate committees. Our meeting adjourned at 4 p.m. and our next meeting will be Wednesday, January 16th at 2 p.m. at City Hall.
Okay, thank you, Bill.
Mayor Connie?
Yes.
If I might, I'd like to make a comment about the increased costs for the cats. Looking back, it's my opinion that it's an unintended consequence of the changes that we made to the cat ordinance about a year ago. We had a couple situations where folks had been bitten by dogs, and some folks, myself included, were concerned about what happens to those dogs. Are they euthanized before the owner has an opportunity to try to address the problem? So we strengthened the wording in that ordinance as far as euthanasia goes. And it seems from what Bill has talked about is that people will try to get their dogs back, not so much the cats. Because cats also fall under the purview of that ordinance. We've seen an increase in the costs associated with managing those cats. So one thing I learned is that when you look at those ordinances as closely as you can, sometimes you still get bit with unintended consequences. You feel like you're doing the right thing for the right reasons, and you don't foresee some of the consequences of that. Just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
And just to quantify the issue, I think if I'm right, we've budgeted $300 a month at the Barnyard Vet. Is that accurate, Misty?
Yeah, I think it might be just a little bit more, but that's just for the monthly boarding.
Yeah, and I think it was either October or November, our barnyard bill was $1,500. So it's not a small issue. And so, we're looking hard at it, and we certainly appreciate John, the animal control officer, with, certainly thinking outside of the box to come up with a very cost-effective and a very humane proposal to help us address this.
Okay, thank you. Look at Public Works, Bob and Ray.
Public Works met on January 2nd at City Hall. Mayor Cotty, Kim, Tracy, Scott, and myself were present. Full business items. We've been talking about the Boulder Falls warranty items. One significant item was being reimbursed by Quinn Construction, the contractor for that project, for some sewer repair that the city had done. And the city has received the reimbursement from Quinn Construction. There's still a few remaining warranty items that will be completed in the spring. The hangar electric service panel, a new pole has been installed at the airport by Black Hills Energy, and work is continuing to replace the hangar electric service panel. Prairie Hills Transit, Kim is scheduling a meeting for an upcoming Public Works meeting with the director of Prairie Hills Transit to continue discussions about a building for their vehicles within Hot Springs. Possible dates for that meeting are January 15th or 29th. That will be one of the upcoming Public Works meetings. The energy audit that I mentioned last time, Misty's provided Bill Cutler with Energy Pros the information he requested, so Energy Pros can begin their energy audit for the city. Conrad Signs, they have agreed to do some repair work on all four of the signs that entrances to the city. Three that are on the entrance of the city, and one in Kidney Springs. They completed work on two of those signs, and work is ongoing for the remaining two. Ray, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I have none.
The next Public Works meeting will be January 16th, 3 o'clock at City Hall.
Okay, thanks, Bob. Thanks, Ray. Southern Hills Economic Development, Marty.
Next Southern Hills Economic Development Board meeting is going to be in conjunction with the Shedco Annual Banquet, and that will be Friday, January 18th at the Red Rock Resort. Happy hour begins at 6 p.m. and dinner begins serving at 7 p.m. This year's guest speaker will be Joe Bartman from Dakota Resources. and the council and city officials will be receiving invitations and are encouraged to attend.
Okay, thank you. Southern Hills Golf Course Advisory Committee, not much is going on at the golf course. We did get a request from one of the members that we heat a few of the greens so that they could keep their putting skills but I don't know if there's any money in the budget for that. Kim and I will be meeting with Jason tomorrow to look at his 2019 maintenance program, and he just wants to bounce some ideas off of us. Volunteer Fire Department, Ron.
Next meeting will be the 8th of January, 7 p.m. at the Hot Springs Volunteer Fire Department.
And Comprehensive Plan Coordinator, Sam?
I have your report since last night.
Okay, thank you. Moving on in the agenda, we do have the first reading of Ordinance 1197. You have a copy of that in your packages. This is an ordinance transferring 5 lots from rural service district to urban. And this is really being done in accordance with Ordinance 1081, Section 6. It was passed back in 2009. And basically, these deals with lots in both the Boulder Falls subdivision, and it's any lot that has either sold that was in rural, under the rural categorization that sells, or there's a building permit taken out for it. It is to be transferred to an urban district. And so I would ask for a motion to approve the first reading of Ordinance 1197.
I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of Ordinance 1197, an ordinance transferring 5 lots from rural service district to urban.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded that we transfer those lots from rural service to urban. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion?
Is there anybody here, any of the deed holders that are concerned about this?
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I'd ask Misty to call the roll, please.
Carleen Kane,
Yes.
Ray Eckerfe,
Yes.
Bill Lukens,
Yes.
Martin Meyer,
Yes.
Bob Nelson,
Yes.
Sam Powers,
Yes.
Ron Richards,
Yes.
Allison Ritterbusch.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We move on in the agenda to Resolution 219-1, and that's our 2019 salary wage resolution. You do have a copy of that in your packages. I'd ask for a motion to approve that resolution.
Make a motion to approve the 2019-1, 2019 wage, or salary and wage resolution.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the salary and wage resolution. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, I'd ask all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. You also have another resolution, 2019-2, and that's the designation of the depositories of an official newspaper. And again, we would be looking again at the Hot Springs Star. We've been a little bit disappointed in the performance of the Star in the area of publishing our legal ads, and that's no reflection on Isaac and the local editor, but simply the office in Rapid City and Chadron. We've had some issues where we've missed some legal notices being published, and fortunately, due to Misty's oversight, has been able to catch those in time to ensure that those were published. As you recall, last year's council selected the Herald, and the Star threatened legal action, saying that the Herald did not qualify. And so I would hope that we'd see some better performance this year from the Hot Springs Star. And Misty, I think you've got a couple of comments that you...
I just want to clarify that Rapid City and Chadron have been wonderful to work with.
Okay.
Yeah, there was some local staff turnover that caused that errors, I believe, in the publication, and they were the ones that were very helpful in assisting to get that. They a couple times had to publish their newspaper early to meet the requirements that we have for publication in order for us to not have to delay public hearings, so.
And, you know, my point is that that should run seamlessly. It has in the past. But because of where we are, and I believe that the Herald does not have the appropriate credentials to qualify as our city newspaper, I would ask that you approve accept a motion to designate the Hot Springs Star as our official newspaper.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2019-2, designation of depositories and official newspaper.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we make that designation of the official newspaper. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion?
I have one question regarding the depositories. I've recently seen a new sign go up on the Bank of the West. Is that an official name change, or is it just a...
Doesn't the sign say Bank of the West? They have not notified us of a name.
Okay, maybe an attention span issue on my part. It looks different. And
There is something added to the bottom of it, and I don't know. I know what you're talking about, but I'm not sure if they changed it.
Thank you.
And I believe the issue with the Herald is the mailing permit. So it's not that they don't have the credentials, it's just that their mailing permit isn't in our town and the Star's is. But that's my understanding of what the issue is. What?
Yeah, I don't do a very good job of explaining the technical terms of it, but somehow they don't qualify. Brad can jump in and correct that too, but no, thank you. Any other questions or comments?
That's my question for Brad. Do you see that situation changing in the future? Will there be a point where both of you could be considered and the council then would pick which one they want to use for their official newspaper?
The only way we could do that is if we actually moved it from Edgemont, and we would be ineligible to be a legal newspaper for anybody for an entire year. So we'd have to get, because currently we're the legal newspaper for all 3 school districts in the county, and most everything else. It's just at least it's the interpretation of your city attorney that law applies. There's some dispute with that. We're actually in a lawsuit currently about that. But the only way we could do that is if we pulled it and we'd be out a year. So we don't want to do that at this point.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brad. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving Resolution 2019-2 signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. You also have in your packages Resolution 2019-3, the 219 part-time rates resolution. I'd accept a motion to approve those part-time rates.
Make a motion to approve Resolution 2019-3, the 2019 part-time rates resolution.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve those part-time rates. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to new business, the first item is to renew several of them are municipal operating agreements for alcoholic beverage license holders, and you have a list there. Both in your packages and listed there in that motion. I would just say before the motion is made, I did check with the chief of police today. We went through each of the businesses listed there, and Chief Close assured me that all of those businesses are in compliance and there have been no complaints against any of them. So I'd accept a motion to renew these operating agreements.
I'll make a motion to renew the following municipal operating agreements for alcoholic beverage license holders for 2019. Lynn's Dakota Mart PL, Sunny Super Foods PL, Yes Way number 117 PL, American Legion RL and RB, Winter Circle RL and RB, Bourbon County RL, Frankie's Place RL and RB, The Vault RL and RB, Woolies RL, RB, RW, Red Rock River Resort RR and RW, Big Bats LLC RB, Big Time Pizza RB and RW, Pizza Hut RB, State USA RB and RW, Changing Seasons Floral RB, Chocolate Buffet RB, Dakota Gas RB, Dollar General RB and RW, Jitterbug Junction RB, Cornerbug Pantry number 11 and number 11B RB, Sancho's Bar and Grill RB, Shopco Stores RB, Springs Restaurant RB and RW, the Burdette House RB, and Earth Goods RW.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that those licenses be approved. Is there any discussion, questions, or comments? Hearing none, I'd ask all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And thank you, Allison, for making that motion. Moving on to item B, we do have a motion to discuss or to schedule a hearing for the assessment roll for the 26th Street Water Distribution Improvement District, and we would want to hold that at our next meeting, January 22nd at 7:10 p.m. I'd accept a motion to do that.
Make a motion to schedule a hearing on the assessment roll for the 26th Street Water Distribution System Improvement District for January 22nd at 7:10 p.m.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we set that hearing. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. We have item C is we want to set the election date for June 4th, 2019 and combine our city election with the school. I'd accept a motion to set that election date.
Make a motion to set the election date as of June 4th, 2019 and combine with the school election.
Second.
Been moved and seconded then we set the election date as June 4th. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We also have a list of parades that we want to approve. Notable missing from this year's 2019 schedule is the Miss South Dakota Parade, but we have a good variety. I'd ask for a motion to approve those parades.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2019 parades, 4th of July parade, Great White Parade, Hot Springs High School Homecoming Parade, December Parade of Lights.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve those parades. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have a motion or a contract in your packages, 2019-1, and this is our contract, annual contract between the City of Hot Springs and Barnyard Veterinary Service. I'd accept a motion to approve that contract.
Make a motion to approve contract 2019-1 between the City of Hot Springs and Barnyard Veterinary Service.
Check that.
It's been moved and seconded. Do we approve contract 2019-1? Are there any questions, comments, or discussion?
I would just comment that the listing for the fees have not been determined yet. It is subject to renegotiation by the parties, so if they change those, which they are planning to do, it'll come back before you to review those new fees and approve those as well.
Okay?
I'd also like to call your attention, there's two highlights on this contract that I don't know if these are changes from a previous contract, but it is, I do believe it's an effort to manage our costs. The first is a highlight where it says apprehended by proper authorities of the city. And then down about halfway in red, it says and the animal control officer. And I believe our intent here is we will pay Barnyard Vet for animals that if an officer of the city takes, so that if a citizen brings a dog or a cat or any other animal to Barnyard, the city will not be responsible for boarding that, even if it's a stray. If our animal control officer or police officer brings the animal in, then the city's responsible. But if somebody just drops it off, we're not responsible. Is that, am I reading that correctly?
Yes, although I do believe that the ACO would like the ability to authorize it without being present, but it would still have to be authorized by a police officer or our animal control.
But it's not just carte blanche.
Correct. Good point. Any other questions or comments?
I have a question as well, just the item in red that's highlighted. Somebody had come to me who, I believe it was on a Saturday, that their dog had gotten out, and then the police were the ones that took it to Barnyard Vet, and then they couldn't get a hold of anybody. Is there any chance at all that an officer, a police officer who's on duty, could they can't pay them?
No, because they need to make sure they have their rabies shots and they're licensed in the city, and Barnyard doesn't have the staff to do that. They don't want us going and taking animals out of their control once they're placed there.
Okay, so if they go in on like Saturday morning, they're there the whole weekend and they can't get there.
So they open that.
Any other questions?
To follow up to Bill's comments, proper authorities, that's animal control officer or police officers. Anybody else within the city? Is anybody else considered proper authorities?
I think the city administrator would certainly be a proper authority because, but other than that. But it typically would be the animal control officer or law enforcement.
And then the other part that I highlighted is under Article 3, about halfway down, talking about confinement, not less than 3 business days, no more than 5 business days. I'm looking at that to mean that after the 5 business days, then euthanasia is probably the next step. But the owners have to be notified that the city is considering doing that per our other animal ordinance, allowing them the opportunity to agree or disagree. So it's not automatic after 5 days that the animals are euthanized.
It is if they're unclaimed.
Unclaimed. Okay. Yeah, that fits with notifying the owners if we can't find an owner.
A follow-up question to that too, then, I guess reading more on the part which I was inquiring about. Is there a way to reach the animal control officer on a weekend? So,
Yes, he's 24/7.
okay, so do they have to reach him, and then also he would have to reach Barnyard as well to get approval?
To release them.
Okay, is that possible that he can reach them? I just want to follow up to let these people know.
I can talk to the owner of Barnyard, but I don't think they want to be on call 24/7.
All right.
Yeah, I'll let you know when I find out. I'll ask that question.
And my question is regarding Article 6, and I might need our lawyers. This might be legal stuff that I can't understand, but it makes perfect sense. So that first sentence, I can't make sense of it exactly what it's saying. Do you have a copy of this? Okay. Does that make legal sense how the clinic will indemnify and save the city harmless from all suits, claims, and actions brought against it? That sentence is correct? Okay, all right.
Legally.
It just sounds,
It could be a little clearer, but
okay.
it's legally.
It sounds, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving contract 2019-1 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And again, reminder, as those, if those fees are changed, those will come back before the council for approval. Looking also, item F, contract 2019-2, and this is our contract with Teresa Moss for cleaning the police department. You have a copy of that in your packages. I'd accept a motion to approve.
I'd like to make a motion to approve contract 2019-2 between the City of Hot Springs and Teresa Moss for police department cleaning services.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve this contract. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion?
I have a question. How often is this service provided? Once a week, twice a week, daily?
I can't answer that with certainty, so I will clarify that with Mike Post for you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of 2019-2 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That contract is approved. You also have a contract, 2019-3, before you in your packages. That's between the City of Hot Springs and Jessica Luther. Jessica is our water meter reading, provides us with water reading services. I'd accept a motion to approve that contract.
Make a motion to approve contract 2019-3 between the City of Hot Springs and Jessica Luther for 2019 meter reading services.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve contract 2019-3. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You also have a contract in your packages, item H, contract 2019-4, the airport grazing lease agreement, and that's with Gary and Sharon Romey. You do have a map of those areas that we open. I think it's their item B on your maps. I accept a motion to approve the lease agreement 2019-4.
I'll make a motion to approve 2019-4 airport grazing lease agreement with Gary and Sharon Romey.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve this lease agreement. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We also have contract 2019-5. Our Evans Plunge Mineral Springs fitness instructor, Lori McNair. I'd ask for a motion to approve that contract with Lori.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract 2019-5 EPMS fitness instructor McNair.
Second. Been moved and seconded that we approve this contract. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion?
This one's similar to what Bob was asking as far as the frequency on here. How often is she planning on?
It's the same as she's been doing it, so there's no changes to the current schedule. And again, I'm not super confident. I feel like it's a couple times a week, but we can check with Grace.
That's my same question.
Are there any other questions or comments?
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning.
Thank you.
She's 3 times a week.
So when they sign this, they kind of know they're doing the 3 days a week, even though it's not in the contract.
Is it a single class each day, 2 classes?
There's 2 different classes. She teaches the 9 o'clock class.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Also have a item J, and this is to authorize our library director, Don Johnson, to sign the grant agreement number 2019G-344, and that's a summer reading program jump start mini grant. This was discussed in admin and finance with a recommendation that the council pass. I'd accept a motion to authorize this grant signature.
I make a motion to authorize Library Director Don Johnson to sign grant agreement number 2019G-344 for the summer reading program Jump Start mini grant.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we authorize this grant to be signed. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Okay, just one comment. There was a little bit of confusion, and I just want to make a comment concerning this grant. Obviously, we do have a policy that the council does approve all grants and that they are reviewed. And I think the library staff got a little bit ahead of that. I just want to make sure that they, along with every other department within city government, understands there is a reason for that grant policy. Many times these grants have stipulations, compliance items that must be kept, particularly the federal, those involving federal money. And if we don't know what those are or read the fine print and keep those, we could be subject to losing larger grants. And so I just want to make that, make sure that you as a council are aware of that. And I know Kim and Misty have passed that down to the department heads also. That said, all those in favor of authorizing Don to sign this grant agreement signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item K, we have the grant a request asking that Kim Barberi sign a DENR grant agreement, the amount of $1,000 for tree planting at the Butler Park flagpole. I'd accept a motion to authorize Kim to sign that $1,000 grant.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize City Administrator Kim Barbieri to sign a DENR grant agreement in the amount of $1,000 for tree planting at the Butler Park flagpole.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we authorize our city administrator to sign this grant. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Again, this is one of those that was approved or recommended for approval by the admin and finance. It was very interesting. There was a lot of discussion in that committee meeting concerning all the stipulations that need to be followed since this did involve some federal money. And it appears that we are able to meet those stipulations even though the grant is only for $1,000. But it is an important area of improving our parks and does go along with the park improvement plan that was presented several years ago. there any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item L is a possible motion and discussion. We do have a lot line revision in the package before you. It involves Lot 3R and Lot 25R of the Valley View plat here in Hot Springs. And it looks like there has been a garage constructed on that lot line, and the property owners want to revise the lots to give that facility or that structure to ensure that it's all on one lot. I'd ask for a motion to approve that lot line revision.
I'll make a motion to approve a lot line revision as shown on plat, Lot 3R and Lot 25R, the replat of Valley View plat, Hot Springs, Fall River County, South Dakota, formerly Lot 3 and Lot 25, prepared by Anderson Engineering. No new lots are created.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve this lot line revision. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You also have in your packages a travel request from Mary Hardy and Barb Benson to attend a Microsoft Excel Basics and Beyond seminar in Rapid City in March. I'd accept a motion to approve that travel.
I make a motion to approve travel request from Mary Hardy and Barb Benson to attend a Microsoft Excel Basics and Beyond the Basics seminar in Rapid City on 3/4/19 and 3/5/19.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded to approve this travel request. Are there any questions, comments, or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on in our agenda, our finance officer has a report to give. Misty?
Thank you for approving that travel request. We've been searching for an appropriate Excel class for those employees in our finance office who want to grow their skills. And so we're lucky that they want to, and we're lucky that you approve the spending of a little money to help them do that. Excel is a great tool in the finance world. It helps us be more efficient, helps us monitor and track things to make easier reporting for you, so I appreciate you doing that. This is financial reports through December 31st that you have in your council packets. I did get the investment report updated to reflect the new CDs that are open. I didn't have that done by the November report, so that's updated in these reports. I'd like to remind you that all balances on these reports do not include all of the 2018 entries. The city uses a modified accrual basis for our accounting, which requires us to accrue entries and account for them in the proper period, which is either when they were earned or received. Generally, revenues that we have yet to collect include liquor percentages, our bid occupancy tax revenues, property taxes, sales tax, special assessment receivables, and other state share revenues. You'll see in your council packets for the next couple months some accounts payable. Those are items that were purchased and received in 2018. We do try to slow our spending down, but there are expenses, advertising, publishing, phone services, those kinds of things that we don't get the bills until a later date. So we will be calculating posting entries to also recognize payroll accruals for the days worked in 2018. The entire first payroll in 2019 were for days in 2018, and the first 3 days of our second payroll in 2019 will be for days worked in 2018. So this includes calculating and posting all payroll taxes, insurance premiums, and other payroll deductions. So that takes a little time. Capital assets purchased in 2018 will impact the final numbers, and also depreciation expense calculated and posted throughout the year. Our inventory counts, which have all been done, will have an impact on revenue if it increases or expenditures if they decrease. In the past, the finance office had to present the annual report to the governing body by the first meeting in March. As you can imagine, this early date was hard for many communities to meet, ours included. In 2018, the legislature changed the laws to allow more time. The new date is no later than the first regular meeting in May. I noted the law that changed, if you want to look it up. We should have no problem meeting this new deadline, and our audit will not occur until after the annual report is prepared and presented. So you'll see a delay this year than what you're used to in the past, but it does allow us the time to accurately account for those accruals. The 2019 Legislative Rib Dinner has been scheduled for Tuesday the 5th in Fort Pierre. The municipal day at the legislature is scheduled on the next day, where you can go to the state capitol building and watch legislation in action. Mayors, council members, finance officers, and all other interested municipal employees are invited to attend. Registration and payments are required by the 22nd of January, so please let me know if you're interested in attending. On that note, the Municipal League does send out weekly legislative updates during session. If you'd like to be on this mailing list, just let me know and I'll be sure you get included. They have given notice that they're preparing for a fight in this year's legislature. The rural electric cooperatives are planning to bring legislation which would prevent a city's utilities, in this case their electric utilities, from growing along with the city boundaries. While our city may not have an electric utility, you can imagine what could happen next with other utilities like water, sewer, and solid waste if this is allowed to pass. Under current law, when a municipality has an electric utility grows, the municipality has the option of buying out the service territory of the entity providing the electricity in the new area. These laws have been in place with very little controversy for over 40 years. Now the RECs want to stop the municipality's right to grow and develop their utility services along with their boundaries. The South Dakota Municipal League is requesting all cities talk to their legislators about the need to continue to allow all municipal utility services to grow with the city. They're urging us to reach out to our legislators as soon as possible. And in the event that we receive a response, Yvonne Taylor, the executive director of the SDML, would like to know. She's our eyes, ears, and voice at the legislature, and so partnering with her on these important topics means a lot. It's nice to have that kind of power and strength, and so I encourage all of you, if you need a list of your legislators, I'd be happy to get it to you. In the next batch of current claims, you'll see the 2019 approved donation payments to Prairie Hills Transit and Shedco. You'll also see the annual payments to the Senior Meals Program, the Hot Springs Senior Citizen Center. These amounts represent the full amount of the 2019 donations. The Volunteer Fire Department will continue to receive their monthly remittances for the total of the 2019 amount that was approved of $90,000. And I left out of the memo, but also our dispatch service agreement with the county will be in the next batch of claims for $55,000. If you have any questions about the timing or the amounts of these payments, please let me know. The next meeting will be on Tuesday, the 22nd, as opposed to Monday, the 21st, due to the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. I'll be on vacation during that meeting, so Kim will be the note taker. I'll be out that entire week and will return to work Monday, the 28th. We talked a little bit about the deed for Building 1 with the State Veterans Home. We received the deed from the state and prepared and filed the deed to move it from the city to SHIP on Friday. We did our inventory test counts with a representative from our audit firm, Cato Thorstensen, on Friday, Wednesday, the 2nd. Last week was a blur. We did test counts at both our water department and Evans Plunge inventory, and I want to make sure that all of you and the public are aware of how impressed I was and they were with our staff. I wanted to share some of that good news. Sean Hiley and his team in the water department had the most organized and clean storage facility that our representative had ever seen. That's what she does. She goes around and counts people's inventory, so she's seen quite a few. There's over $88,000 in inventory in our water department, housed in 2 separate locations. He doesn't have one place to keep all his things, so we've talked before about the environment at the sewer plant. So he has some of his inventory stored at the street department and some stored in a pumping station. And you can imagine, although they have a lot of high dollar items, what $88,000 in inventory is like to keep track of. Every item that she tested, with the exception of one, was right on the money. Not only was it easy to find when she chose it, it was marked well and easy to identify, and his counts were right on. Chris Hansen at Evans Plunge inherited a messy inventory control system. She has completely turned that around in the last 2 years. I don't know if you remember that being an audit finding a couple years running. The inventory at Evans Plunge was a little bit of a mess, but the test counts at BPMS were very successful. One discrepancy for one item was resolved before the employee even got back to Rapid City, and that was the only miscount in everything that they tested. Although they didn't test count the Pro Shop inventory, I did my own spot checking utilizing her inventory report, her being Kathy, and I found 0 discrepancies. This was the first year that Kathy used her point of sale for her inventory, and it was very successful, and I'm very proud of her for stepping out of her comfort zone and using that tool. Kudos to all the employees. It's really a pleasure to work with them and to get to show off. And I didn't even know that's what I was going to get to do that day when we went around, but I was very proud of each of them, so I wanted to mention that.
Okay, thank you, Misty. City Administrator report again.
Well, Happy New Year. We started off with a brand new snowstorm to ring in the new year, and that rung in a whole bunch of other discussions and conversations. So I just wanted to address officially here at this City Council meeting some of the things that we've talked about. The snow came all day Sunday and into Monday morning. It ended around noon. Unfortunately, being this far south, you missed all the 12 inches I got in Custer, but you did get this really nice, slick, thick layer of ice underneath that snow. Tuesday morning, I spoke to our street department head, Billy Morrow, and I spoke to Mike Close, our police chief, and they advised that Evans Plunge should probably close. It was not safe for people to be out. They were still trying to do road clearing. The ice was causing some problems on the road. So I also found out that the courthouse had been closed by recommendation of the sheriff's department because of the conditions of the roads. I spoke to Chris Hansen. We already had the regulars, the diehards that come in at 6 o'clock and do their swimming and stuff like that. They've already been in and out. So we decided that by the time we were talking about it and the appropriate time to close, we decided at 11 o'clock would give people adequate time to either find out if we were open or not before they made a drive, or finish up what they were doing in the plunge, or if they just walked in, they'd know how much time they had. With that, we were all pretty secure that we did the right things, and that's when the phone calls started. Around 12 o'clock, George got them, I got them, my desk got them. There were comments on our Facebook page. And so I've talked with as many people as I can, and I think the biggest thing was that they were just disappointed and inconvenienced because a lot of people had like extra grandchildren cooped up in the house. Apparently nobody throws their kids out in the snow like my mom did and lock the doors and say, come back later. So they were all hoping to stay warm inside the pool. But I did write a letter of apology. And what we're finding with the Facebook page is that we really get a great cross-section of different thoughts on it. We had a lot of people that stood up and said, thank you for watching out for your employees. One of the things that a lot of the people that were complaining didn't realize is that most of our employees are teenagers or very, young drivers. And, we have to watch out for their best interests as well as encouraging people to come out on the street. One of the interesting things I found was that a lot of people felt that recreation centers were required to be open. And I was saying that's not it's not a hospital, it's not a police station, it's not a jail. That it's not one of those things that's a requirement to be kept open no matter what the weather. It's more of a convenience at that point. But these were just, opposite opinions on the same topic. But I think overall, our Facebook communications on this particular one went really well, and we had some people that actually had a good discussion on what mattered in the bigger picture of things. So that goes on to Thursday of last week, or was it Friday? It was Thursday, because George was there, but you were there Friday morning too. You threw me off with your Friday morning. Anyhow, George and I got to talk with a really nice gentleman that's in a wheelchair. He came in very upset and was shaking with his frustration. The mayor was in a meeting on the phone conversation. He was unable to come out right away, so I sat with him and I talked with this gentleman. And he told me, he said, do you know what it's like to try and move through my favorite town, my town that I moved back to, my town that I love, and I can't go out in my wheelchair and get even to the post office from Evans. And I do what everybody's supposed to do, and start making excuses. Well, this was a tough one. We had a lot of ice under the snow, which is true. Well, we have a limited number of people that get out, and we have people that we have to require, our shopkeepers and stuff to help us, and that's true. He said, I don't want to hear your excuses. And it really made me understand right there that if somebody can't get to do the most basic things in towns, all the amounts of excuses don't matter. And we call ourselves the veterans town, but we tend to forget about our veterans and our other people in our community that have problems with mobility. And as shopkeepers and as city workers, we forget what it's like if we didn't have our legs to move us around, to step over that curb, to walk around that little pile of ice through a little slippery slope there. And all I could say is, you know what? We failed you. And with that, I put out a call to all of our street department. We mobilized and cleaned out every handicap ramp along 385 that comes through town. We made sure they were open, and we started just going around and making sure that while we're in the heat of the day, that we were making sure that there was adequate flow from the ice melt so that we didn't have it freeze overnight and become even worse in the morning. I got out there for a couple hours to try and just see what it was like and to see how bad areas were. Also put out a call on Facebook, on our Facebook page, and said, look, as a veterans town, we can do better. And that's had really, really good responses, and we've had more great conversations as a community on that. And I'm hoping whenever the next snowstorm comes, that not only our employees here at the city, but our community members, our shopkeepers, and everybody will remember those people that have served our country and that no longer move with full ability. And remember them as we're cleaning off our sidewalks, making sure that our fire hydrants are open, but also making sure that our handicap ramps are open, that there's adequate space around our doorways to swing out and allow them to move in. And I think that's just an overall goal that we're setting for the department head meeting next week, is just to really make sure that we're doing our best and we're not failing our heroes anymore.
Thank you, Kim. Appreciate it. Just some things that I'd like to report on. As we begin the new year, I've asked that our city staff and department heads identify 3 3 to 5 significant accomplishments that they've had in their departments through the year, and also identify 3 to 5 goals that they'd like to accomplish this next year. I think that's important, especially in the area of government, that sometimes it's easy to kind of coast along and not recognize or realize some of the things that you've done, and not be able to set goals and look at some of the things that need to get done. And that certainly will help us when it comes to coming up with a budget also, that we have some things that we're shooting for. So we'll be doing that, and also want to hear, and we talked about this today in our admin and finance, is focus on ways that we can increase our revenue. One of the areas that I think we're been a little bit lax on the past year, for a good reason, that our development coordinator has been busy doing inspections on new construction and hasn't really had the opportunity to enforce the ordinances on appearance. So if we're going to want to step up our game in that area, we're going to have to find perhaps another part-time position to help us in that area next summer. I guess the reason that we want to set goals, I probably use a Yogi Berra-ism: if you don't set goals, you won't reach them. Or conversely, if you don't reach your goals, you won't reach your goals if you don't set them. So I think it's a good idea for us to take and pause at the beginning of the year is a good time to do that. We are moving ahead on the overhanging sidewalk. Our representatives from ISG, the contractor that we hired as design engineers, met with us this past week. We had a good meeting. They grilled us in detail what we were trying to accomplish, why. They've got a good background as to what we were trying to create here in Hot Springs. They've already made contact with South Dakota Department of Transportation, and one of the things that they will try to do is have a fairly accurate cost estimate by the middle of the month for us. If you remember last year in December, I think it was, you authorized a letter to be sent to South Dakota DOT saying that we did not want the temporary fix for River Street, and South Dakota DOT has answered that letter. They're willing to incorporate the sidewalk, they're willing to work with us, but they're unwilling to fund it. And again, they consider that as an enhancement to the basic requirements that are needed for a highway through municipality. Obviously, we disagree with that, but we will be working with them. They're happy that we did hire an engineering firm. Their biggest concern is of the schedule. They have a design to get done, to get out to bid, and they want that done. So they're also looking at doing an interim preservation plan if we do have trouble getting clearances somehow. The Army Corps of Engineers are having difficulty funding, that they do have an interim plan to incorporate the design of the sidewalk at a later date. Like I said, our big concern is funding. I've contacted the Governor's Office of Economic Development to see if there are funding avenues. I noticed that they were responsible. If you watched the local news tonight, you saw that there was a groundbreaking of Edwards Outlaw Square, and they did get $2 million funding from GOED. So we're going to pursue that avenue. The Department of Transportation did say the University Avenue trade in that we would get money for if we took over the responsibility of maintenance for University Avenue. We get the life cycle costs put back into that. There's other things that we would be willing to look at. They would also be looking at. I've checked into historical preservation funds that come from the gambling revenues in Deadwood. Those are limited to grants of $25,000 and probably difficult to get that for something other than a building renovation. But we'll keep working it. They also mentioned that there may be some trail grants, but again, those are usually not granted for sidewalks. We'll be planning on attending the tourism conference next week, and hopefully during some of the breakout sessions I'll have an opportunity to visit a little bit more directly with the Department of Transportation. I know that Governor Noem was just sworn in this last Saturday and may try to at least get an appointment with one of the staff members to maybe let her know what she can do to help make us a national veterans town by creating a veterans walkway along River Street. So we'll work on that also while we're there. One final though, in case the police did a very good job, posted it on Facebook, but they're investigating. We had a rash of vandalism this past weekend. I believe it was last night. Some broken windows in cars, senseless damage, and some mailboxes that have been damaged between here and outside of the city limits. And so the sheriff's office is also involved. I would encourage you, if you have any tips, please make sure that our police department gets those. They do have some leads that they are working, and it's very important that we get this stopped and get it stopped now. And I think that's all I have in my report. I'd ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded, we adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries.